How the zebra got his stripes. Zamu, the baboon, sat way up high in an old yellow wood tree, picking his fleas. Each time he found a flea, and there were many of them, he would eat it and then carry on scratching himself. This flea eating and catching was exhausting, and the day was very hot. So he yawned a large, toothy yawn.
So these are the showers, not showers.
Work is, for me, what I do to change reality.
Toilet paper, wrap it 3 times in your hand. 1, 2, 3. And then put it where the gap is at the bottom of the mouth, just here. Leave this out so the toilet is isolated.
And if I had to separate the concepts of work and play, work would be what I do to uplift the local community in a sustainable way and to make a difference in people's lives, and play being frivolous things that I do just purely for my own benefit.
You have to pour the whole thing there. That will take you 8 minutes burning. Around the matches, like the shower, toilet paper, then light it. When it's burning, you need to turn on the bottom pipe. This one.
I'm also someone who studied physics and appreciate the need for real, tangible and meaningful solutions as opposed to merely thoughts and good intentions. And so work in that construct is very much the physical formula of force times distance.
And then the other one is the solar shower. When you want to use it, you just press it down like this. This is hot and this is cold fine. Here and thing up here. And then when it's too hot, mix it with the cold one.
I think it's just one reality, and I prefer to live in a reality where people aren't suffering. And so by improving the lives of people here, it inherently improves my life too. The communities like this here in the remote parts of South Africa and the rest of Africa, what makes them unique is that in many ways, they have very strong community, they live sustainably, and in fact, I think in many ways they'll be able to leapfrog the Western world in terms of standard of living and where we're wanting to go. If you take major world cities like London or Paris or wherever, they've got a lot of social problems which happen as a result of huge numbers of people living individually without knowing anyone else. They're also completely environmentally unsustainable because they consume such huge amounts of energy and resources. And in fact, if you look at areas like these remote villages, they are, as it stands, already environmentally sustainable because people are poor and so aren't using a lot of resources from elsewhere, and the sense of community and support between people is very strong. And so if we can just solve the problems that are responsible for the poverty in the area, which are fairly basic things like clean water, basic healthcare, education, all problems that have been solved elsewhere previously, we just need to apply the local technologies that already exist. Then these communities will be able to move out of poverty, but not necessarily move into the unsustainable and environmentally destructive and individualistic societies that you find in rich countries. So in that way, they will leapfrog those countries, because in the rich world, a lot of the problems there are no solutions that we know of in terms of trying to make them sustainable and trying to find a way that people can live in a community in a huge city. So I think if we can just succeed in reducing the poverty and the suffering in these areas and giving people genuine opportunities without following the usual path of consumerism, then I think these are the areas that will teach the world, as opposed to the well-known big cities and well-known civilizations overseas.
Again, the baboon gave a long, self-satisfied yawn.
Okay, here is our first class.
Look at me!
Yeah, 3 to 4 year olds. So it's when it's January, all children they arrive. There's a lot of crying because it's their first time at school, so they're in a new environment now without their moms. So, and then we also involving parents, to be part and parcel of the preschool, for them to know what we are doing at school. So we used to have workshops, and then also they are not paying fees, They're not paying fees. So the parents just come once, each parent will come once in a month to come and cook for their children. The government, they don't give us anything. So everything you see here, they've been donated by other people and some guests from the lodge. So the children, they start 8 to half past 12, and then they have porridge in the morning, then snacks, then have lunch, then off they go home. Yeah, the incubator was before them. They built this site. This is when we get in.
Work is what you do to feel that you are part of life. You must work to live. Even biblically, there is some scripture that says that thou who does not work does not deserve to eat. So for me, work is ancient and it's a human need.
Work, I really love working hard. It's so much fun for me. I really love working with my hands. I do not really like working on a computer, but I'm forced into it quite a lot. But I enjoy my workspace, and I enjoy employing as many people as we can, employing 10 people, 12 people through the business and another 8 people through the non-profit. And I'd like to increase those numbers. Work was just in the young men had to just look after the cattle. That's in the culture. You just grow up as a guy looking after the cattle. A girl has to collect firewood, make meals, clean the house, and the guy will help pulling the house. Then obviously with the new system it doesn't work like that anymore. People don't look after the cattle all the time. They have to go to school, the children, and the young guys sometimes go away to find jobs in the cities or in the mines a lot in South Africa. A lot of people work in the mines. But a lot of the young guys actually do just sit at home. There's just not enough jobs. They don't have work. They sit and for them that's fine. They just sit at home and maybe their grandparents get some pension money and they just depend on that.
Kita ubule mnya. Ya. Kita ukotsela picha.
it is a negative thing from the government to give those pension monies so easily, because it does create a culture of a bit of laziness, if you want to see it like that. It's that same thing that happens in most third world countries, where certain things become a problem, like as soon as you get a bit of money or you don't have any money, the guy just starts drinking a lot and smoking a lot of weed, and then they usually don't want to work either. They just prefer that state of mind. That sounds a little bit negative, but some guys in the villages really are very hard workers. So the guys that comes from these villages and go work on the farms and stuff, they have it very hard for the first year or so, because the guys, they are very used to the way of working, and they're not at all. They're not used to waking up at a certain time and starting work at a certain time and doing that work for the whole day and then ending. They have a hard time when they go find jobs.
So, when you asked the first question, you asked me, what do I do? Generally, when people ask that question, they're asking, how do you make a living? How do you make money? And I used to not understand money because I was a Rasta at the time. I wasn't. I used to smoke lots of marijuana, and I used to hang out with Rastas because they smoke a lot of marijuana. So we said we Rasta and we want to live in unity with the land. And so we smoked a lot of weed. I was still living at home with my parents, all of us were. And so the brethren decided, now we'll start making beads, we'll start making kush pipes, shoes, products to sell. And I said, but if you're gonna make money, make money. Why make a little bit of money? Then it doesn't make sense to me. If you're gonna make, because I thought we were gonna go and, they always talked about going to Marcus Garvey and going to live there with the brethren, but this was all happening in Soweto, and I was just annoyed, because I don't believe in doing things in small proportions. Do something, just do it. So once we started doing that, and some of the guys stole pots from home, stole vegetables, and we were living in this little house, and I was like, but this is irrational. I mean, it's a false sense of freedom. You talk about how you're free from Babylon, but your parents work to buy the food that you bring here. That's not freedom. You must, from your sweat of your brow, you must work, and from that's then when you can then be defined as free.
At the moment, what work entails is running the business side of Hemporium, which is making clothing, marketing, getting the message out, getting people to want to wear hemp and to understand what hemp is. So it's a lot around promotion, around education. Our tagline is innovate, educate, cultivate, which we innovate through the products we make, we educate through the messages we put out there, and now we're cultivating with farming. So unfortunately for me at the moment, a lot of the time is spent behind a machine, which I find is the least productive space for me. But the emails, the contacts, the learning, the making videos, whatever, it's a very important part of our business, but it's the least productive, I feel. It doesn't inspire me to sit at a desk behind a machine, but unfortunately at the moment it's a necessary part of the business. So that for me is the work part, but the bigger picture stuff, the education, the talking, does not feel like work because I love it. And I love it because I'm good at it, or I'm good at it because I love it. The meeting people, the telling the story. For me, I love that, and work is about finding something that you love. It's about, then it's not work. Then it's not the classical idea of what would be slavery, going to do something you hate for some money.